What's going on YouTube? My name is CoVa Technician, and I got a quick tutorial for you to get the best 4K settings in OBS only on YouTube, streaming on YouTube. Without further ado, let's get into it. So here we have my YouTube studio on the web browser. This is the same thing that you should do. This is only for OBS streaming on YouTube, not for Ecamm. So first thing you want to do is you want to start your stream. Mine's going to be called 4K test. Okay, so I type in 4K test. I'm going to click next. Okay, none of this matters. We just need to get to the main screen. I'm just going to select unlisted. None of this matters though. This is just a tutorial for you. And we wait for that to populate. Okay, so here's where the important stuff happens. Now, under stream key, you're going to go to select stream key. All right, you're going to click create new stream key. Okay, now we're going to name this 4K test. You can name it 4K test. I have a couple of these, so I'm gonna call it 4K test 3. Your description is not important. What is important is the streaming protocol. All right, so now this is the video stream between your encoder and YouTube. Your encoder is OBS, sending information to YouTube. You don't want the default because the default settings causes problems and it's not going to work. We're going to click HLS Advanced. These are your advanced custom settings. Under stream resolution, YouTube automatically detects a stream resolution and frame rate. You're going to tell it manual settings. You're going to turn on 60 frames per second option because you're going to be able to send the information at 60 FPS. And the resolution you're going to select is 4K 13 to 30 megabits per second. Again, if you should already know that if you have extremely poor internet, you're not going to be able to do this in 4K, but you don't need super fast internet as well. My upload speed is about 37. YouTube says between 13 and 30. You could probably try this even at lower megabits per second, but we're going to show you in OBS. So for here, we're going to go 4K 13 to 30 megabits per second, and we're going to click create. Now that's done. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to my OBS. Now this is my OBS screen. I'm going to go to settings. All right, we're going to pull up my settings menu. And I'm going to go to video first. All right, so now the trick that I use when I'm streaming in 4K and I have very smooth frame rates in 4K is my base canvas is 1080p. So everything on my base canvas is 1080p. My output scaled resolution is going to 4K. So I am recording and streaming in my camera. My camera is set into 4K, but everything else, the base resolution is in 1080p being scaled to 4K. So you go to output scaled resolution and you set this to 4K, which is 3840 by 2160. Your downscale filter is bicubic sharpened scaling 16 samples. This is what you want to set if you want to try this tutorial to see if it works for you. My common FPS values is 60. Once you set all of that, you click apply and then you go into output. Now in streaming, I use very simple settings, nothing too advanced. I'm not using stream effects, anything like that. You go to rate control. Your rate control is CBR, not CQP, not VBR, and not lossless. We're not doing anything fancy. Just click CBR. Go to your bit rate. My bit rate is 20,000 kilobits per second. So if you're watching this tutorial and your internet upload speeds are 30 megabytes and up, you can go ahead and set it to 20K. It should work perfectly fine for you. My internet upload speeds is about 35 to 37, so 20K is what I use. If this is what you have, go ahead and select 20K. You can actually bring this down a little bit lower if you're having issues with, the streaming output, okay? Your keyframe interval is set to 2. Your preset is low latency performance. So you want the low latency to be on the encoder side, which is the OBS. And you set your profile to high. Now look ahead and psycho-visual tuning are both unchecked. We're not gaming. We're not doing any of that. You could game with this setting, but you just have to use your own judgment if you want to check this on and off or not. For what I do, I leave them off. And you go to GPU. GPU is set to 0. And now max B frames is set to 2. Now with this done, this is going to allow you to stream in 4K. No heavy usage on your CPU. Max usage is about, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, between 7.3 to 8.2 on the CPU. Make sure your video settings are as I have shown today. and your output is here. Once all of that is set, you click OK. You close this. I'm gonna hide this again. And we come here to YouTube. And this is how you go live. So now if you were to go live here, I'm not going to be able to go live because I'm streaming and recording in 4K, and the graphic card can't really handle that. But you should test these settings out, see if they work for you. They definitely should work for you if your upload speed is around 35 megabits per second. That's what mine is, and they work for me perfectly fine. Again, if your graphics card can't handle 4K, dial the settings back. It should work for you fine. People use these settings on an RX 580. So if you got RX 580, you're good to go with these settings. Anyway, that is it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is informational. If you learned something, if you're improving your streaming or recording with anything that you see on my channel, like and subscribe if you're new. I appreciate your time and your energy. Till next time, thank you, goodbye, and good night.